This dude is not Fastlane. There are some days when I come to Fastlane and realize that some people, most young, starry-eyed guys, have corrupted Fastlane to mean money, money at any cost, money by means of any product, no matter if it works or not, and money acquired by any methods, regardless of ethics or the human experience. For them justifies the ends, or money. These types of entrepreneurs are what give capitalists a bad rap. And Fastlaners. They aren't Fastlane, and I don't care how many millions they make. When I first heard about this guy, I thought to myself, great, another capitalist villain who is bad for entrepreneurship and good for money-chasing assholes. Some young guy out there is thinking, wow, in order to be rich, I need to be like this guy. And another Jordan Belfort-worshipping guy is born. At the end of the day, your shady business practices, your unethical marketing schemes, and your shitty products will come back to haunt you. Maybe not tomorrow, next month, or the next year, but they will. And sometimes the bite in the ass isn't law enforcement, but a long spiritual death while you sleep among your silk sheets. When I read this today, I was not shocked. There's a certain redemption I see when money-chasing assholes who think they are walking the fine line, actually find out that their lines were inaccurately laid by the love of money and indifference for their fellow man. Although this arrest was related to prior deeds in a hedge fund anyhow, I'm hoping that the majority of folks who read this understand the difference between entrepreneurship, which is fiduciary, and entrepreneurship, which is self-serving. The former is where we strive to be, and the ultimate irony is that the former ends up creating the latter. Completely agreed. I knew something was up the minute he came onto the scene. Agreed. I'll be interested to see how his story plays out. These people are prostitutes and have the same rationalization. They think I will do it just for a bit and then quit. They just can't stop. Easy money, and a lot of it is addictive. Hope he learns his lesson, and younger folks here will learn from this too. I had read somewhere that the way he managed his previous companies wasn't ethical at all either, even before the whole drug thing this year. You are right in that it gives capitalists a bad rep. I get looked at like I'm a crook if I say that if you focus on yourself and your business for a while, then you can afford to give back to the world. You don't need the government to do it through taxes, and you can help several countries that way as well. But making money, or talking about making money, is kind of like a taboo to so many people because of the behavior of a few. I guess it's true that money can corrupt you, but I am a firm believer that it just shows who you are even more. Unfortunately, the media showcases the rotten apples more often, and everybody gets labeled. I admit that medical treatment can be costly, and sometimes people find it hard to afford it, and that the ones who provided the solutions deserve their incentives. But what he did with the HIV pill, I think Daraprim, was pretty inhumane. I hope he finds goodness in his heart and turns around from his madness. Nice to see this major douchesicle get smited. It should make all trips furious when a company or individual uses market monopolies or IP to force the market to accept a lower value service or product to that which would otherwise exist but which isn't allowed a chance to compete on fair terms because of lobbying, backroom deals, or monopoly. I'm all for a clever IP defense or a quasi-monopoly that leads to a solid margin and a respectable fast lane exit. But when competitors could be delivering your product for 5,000% less than you are, but you stop them not by keeping up with evolving markets and offering even more value for their money, you deserve to go out of business, or worse. It's not just grind cheating, it's an attempt to break the entire system of capitalism itself for the sake of your own laziness. When you force the market to accept a lower value product than the competition offers because of your power or influence, I call that comcasting. This message sent on the fastest internet connection available at my address at any price, which is way the hell slower than it has any business being. I wholeheartedly agree that what he did was wrong on many levels, but bringing him down is attacking symptoms of the greater disease. The root cause needs to be destroyed. Thankfully, I can walk out the front door and visit a nearby pharmacy and get whatever generic meds I need for next to nothing without a prescription. Policymakers need to take a look in the mirror and see the damage that they're causing. Luckily, everyone focuses on guys like the above instead of the people who make it extremely profitable for guys like him to pull off these stunts. What a dumbass. Machiavelli is rolling over in his grave. Ha, I wanted to post this article the moment I read it, but figured MJ would hear about it soon enough. How long ago did I make the post about this guy having a sidewalker mentality? Couldn't have been more than 30 days ago. Let's not forget he recently purchased the one-off Wu-Tang Clan album for $2 million. I knew shit was bound to catch up with the guy, I just figured he'd end up going broke really fast. Although I do sort of wish I had the opportunity to see. Sad thing is how many like him there are out there. He's nowhere near bankster status though. All companies do casting quality of clothes of H&M, Zara etc. Phones from Sony, Samsung and Apple etc. All having much lower quality based on that they know people will buy it anyway. I agree with you on the other things. That's branding. That's not what I'm talking about. Comcast doesn't just brand, they strike deals either with Verizon or AOL or local municipalities to shut superior competition out of the market altogether. Same with these drugs. Attempting to use IP trickery to bludgeon someone into overpaying for something that was old and cheap will come back to bite you in the end. It would be like if Dior or Versace shut down Target and Kohl's in your township, got the government to sign an agreement never to open any charity clothing banks, and made everyone spend $65 on the same t-shirt you used to be able to buy for $4, or move somewhere else. No value creation, just forced price jacking. Even if it's legal, it seems like such a shit, money-grubbing business strategy. You can't innovate, you can't beat your competition, you can't excel, so you do this shit and hope to slow superior people and companies down long enough for you to rip people off. Branding isn't the same thing as using the ultimate monopoly, the government, to enforce your market position. That is what RHL was talking about. There are many here who liken themselves as fastlaners yet engage in pure money chasing, no real value, snake oil product pimping, flat-out scamming ventures. It's sad. I've even heard a few of them proclaim, yay, it's a money-chasing pursuit, but I'm going to make hay while the sun shines, then use the money saved to start my real fast lane business. I'm going to sell my soul to the devil and use the profits to buy it back from God. Ha ha. Love it. Well, with all the corruption going on in this world and some making millions billions of the suffering of others, maybe some people just became bitter and cynical and said screw it. It's like young black people living in the ghetto back in the day. Education funding was getting cut and the streets were flooded with drugs, so drug dealing seemed like the only way to escape that hellhole. I wonder which lane has more cash flow, the fast lane or the dark lane. So happy to see this thread. I've had several wonderful things happen this week, as I develop my contacts or mentors or alignment to manifest my fast lane business. Reading everyone's comments is reinforcing what has been happening for me. I see nothing wrong with becoming rich. It is how you do it, how you treat others, and the value you add to humanity and or the planet that counts. Also, you can do much more to help your fellow brother or sister if you have money. Getting past the need to pay your bills, put your kid through college, etc., frees you up to make a true difference. Money is a tool to make these things happen. Thank you to those who posted above, and others with the same mentality, and thank you for this forum. I see it as a place that fosters creativity in people who wish to make a positive difference in others' lives, while getting paid handsomely to do it. Merry Christmas to all, or good tidings if that isn't your thing. I think legitimate, legal businesses have greater potential to scale, at least for an individual. Drug dealers, for example, have to limit exposure to mitigate the risk of getting caught. Likewise, if you're interested in actually using your money and having it for the long term, I'd go with the fast lane. Integrity should be a multiplier in the fast lane equation. Unlawful practice should score you a big, fat 0. Get arrested, or killed if you're in an illegal business, and how usable is your money? Drugs is the largest industry on the planet though. I see where you're coming from. I was just thinking more about one person and their potential to tap that market and make a fast lane-like living from it. You scared of the cops, bro? Sad indeed. When I read stories like this, sit and think about it, it is indeed sad. This type of person is not happy. They may act happy, but I've looked into the eyes of a few people like this and I've seen no happiness there. Nailed it. So we here keep doing what we do. Then we pass our experience and knowledge to others to follow and understand. One by one, it does make a difference. At first, I thought he was doing it to get to the press. So he's a complete douche. Guy deserved it. Let's just set this as an example of what not to do. Give value. Help people. And make the money you deserve. Just think of how much good he could have done, if he weren't such a spoiled, hissy, little prick. I'm glad you bumped this because Vice recently had someone interview him. I thought it was interesting. He spent $2 million on a Wu-Tang Clan album. Here's the video. Leave him for karma. I actually find the guy fascinating. Not his actions but his mindset. He is the biggest f-king balls man. I saw the vid of him speaking before Congress. The Dutch smirk, pure ego. It's hilarious to me. I mean seriously, this is obviously a hugely talented person. It's sad. He's been going through some horrible losses since Christmas. I don't think he's learning his lessons though, not yet at least, in case you guys want to see his personality. This dude said he'd slap the shit out a ghost face killer. He's a despicable douchebag. End of story. Did anyone else not watch this? Thoughts? Certainly clears up a lot. Doesn't seem like a bad dude. They literally give away the drug to people who can't afford it. Sure seems a lot different in this video. Shirley fills the role of the evil capitalist perfectly. The media needs a villain and he's it. Sorry, but I stopped listening after he started justifying the price increase of the drug. As if the quantity of people affected really matters. I'm sure he wouldn't want his mother or his sister paying $800 a freaking pill, but never mind that, only a few people buy the drug so it's okay. Guy's a weasel. I thought his whole point was that he sells the high prices to stores like Walmart, CVS, etc., and that the insurance is hardly affected due to the volume in the industry. So people's insurance would cover the price, and those who don't have insurance would be given the pill for free. Then 60% of the profit goes to research, which is a much higher ratio compared to other pharma companies. But I could be mistaken as I only watched once. If you don't have insurance, he gives it out free. He is spending most of the profit trying to develop a version of the pill with much less sides, which none of the other companies did. He's still painful to watch, autistic or something. Yes, but insurance companies pass along costs to the consumer. If anyone thinks an $800 pill doesn't trickle down to the consumer in the form of higher insurance costs, rates, etc., they're naive. I always find it amusing how people think higher business costs somehow doesn't make its way down the pipeline to the customer, despite the contention of it going into research. This is why the $15 or our minimum wage crowd has the intellectual capacity of 4 goldfish wired together by a copper wire. Please use similar analogies throughout your new book. I liked this post solely because of this part. Shirley? What you talking about, MJ? Edit, cringe after seeing this again, late night. Was watching H3H3's modern art video and got a little too inspired. I know little about how insurance companies calculate premiums, but wouldn't the cost of Daraprim be minuscule, practically a rounding error in the context of the healthcare industry where overinflated drug costs and extraordinary doctors' fees is already the norm? Would it really affect premiums? You don't have to like or admire the guy, but you have to give him some credit, in my opinion. He grew up in a poor area in Brooklyn with two immigrant janitor parents. He attended the nearby high school for gifted students, but dropped out when he was 17 to go and work at a hedge fund. After 4 years, the time the average person would be graduating college, he started his own hedge fund, where all of these problems started. Also, he spends a lot of time streaming finance and chemistry tutorial videos on YouTube. I'm guilty of watching one. And in it he said something like how making $3 million in 50 years off compound interest would not be a good amount, which made me happy. I haven't kept up to date on this guy's shenanigans, mostly because I have more interesting things to do: watch my grass grow, doodle, etc. But, I mean, is everyone forgetting he got arrested for running a Ponzi scheme? Yeah, great guy. I'm sure it was all justifiable, though. Most likely a bunk charge to throw him off. I don't think he ran a Ponzi scheme. He seems legit, just price gouging. Ha. I almost fell out of my chair. Martin Shkreli sentenced to 7 years in prison. Has to forfeit $7.4 million to the federal government. This is an example of where being a complete a-hole gets you. I have been trying to figure out what all happened here that made the case against him. A normal person would have not gone to prison for what he did. He went to prison because he shit on everyone, and was so unbelievably cocky the judge and jury couldn't help but find him guilty. Don't be like this douche. His case was never about what he did with the prescription drugs. That is just what gave him the bad reputation throughout the world. Apparently, doing what he did is completely legal. He got arrested for defrauding his investors in both of the hedge funds that he operated and then tried to repay them with stock and cash from the pharmaceutical company that he created. He was claiming that the hedge funds were low risk and doing really well when, in fact, they were not. When some investors wanted their money back, he blew them off and tried to offer other ways to give them back their money. I also read that he had hid a lot of shares that he owned by not reporting them, but I can't seem to find where I read that. I don't condone anything he did, but I do have to say that the one thing that really irritated me was when one of the prosecutors made the comment, "What motivates Martin Shkreli is his own image," Cassialis said. He can't just be an average person who fails, like the rest of us. He needs to be mythical, he needs to be larger than life. I really hate that mentality to try to pander to the average person. The prosecutor was obviously trying to make him out to look evil, but beyond what Shkreli did and beyond his reputation and personality, I think Shkreli was super intelligent. He just didn't completely use it the right way. Wow, 2 bro marketers in 1 week, we on a roll. Who was the second? Oh yay. I remember hearing about this, and he was convicted of fraud, sentenced to 7 years. He cried in court when he was sentenced. People like him are cowards and terrified of seeing their own blood. They like to hurt others, but they are big babies when they get hurt. This is going to be a tough period of time for him. The shoe is finally on the other foot. Wonder if he is going to Butner. It's kinda the country club prison. That's where Bernie is.